At Lanix Tech Emporium, Arthur Xavier entered Lanix Tech Emporium, the dim glow of gas lamps and the hum of machinery providing a stark contrast to the usual bleakness of Doskvol streets. The shop's facade, with its polished wood and glass display cases, belied the clandestine operations happening beneath its surface. Arthur had been summoned to assist in a critical meeting, and despite his recent sobriety and renewed focus, the uncertainty gnawed at him. As he approached the hidden door that led to the heart of the cipher's secret base, Arthur's mind churned with unresolved questions. Why would Jerome Valeska, a figure of such malevolence, tip him off about Elias Wren? What tangled web was he now entangled in? And more urgently, what new threat was the circle of flame poised to unleash with their mysterious chemical weapon? His contemplation was interrupted by the door's creak, as he was greeted by the cool, metallic scent of advanced technology mixed with the underlying tang of oil and smoke. Lon Nick, a tall figure with a sharp gaze and an air of aloof genius, waited for him in the hidden chamber together with Silas and two of the crows. The room was a chaotic symphony of whirring gears, crackling electric currents, and scattered blueprints. Lon Nick, Arthur, just in time. Please escort Harry here. He's brought something of interest that I need to examine. Arthur nodded, his expression a mixture of curiosity and wariness. He turned to Harry Potter, one of the crows, whose disheveled appearance and nervous demeanor hinted at a recent upheaval. Arthur thinks to himself, Harry's jumpiness isn't reassuring. Whatever he's got must be important or dangerous or both. And if the crows are involved, it's bound to be messy. The two men exited the shop and went around to the alley behind the shop. The shadows here were thicker, more ominous, as if the alley itself held secrets waiting to be uncovered. Harry, glancing around nervously, pulled out the box from behind a large bin and handed it over to Arthur. Harry Potter, we got this from a recent job, but we don't know what it does. Thought you ciphers might be interested. Arthur inspected the box closely as he and Harry re-entered the shop. Inside, Lon Nick was already waiting, his eyes alight with interest. Harry opened the box with a creak, revealing an intricate array of spinning gears and interconnected mechanisms. The gears began to turn, casting shifting shadows against the walls. Arthur thinks to himself, that's a sensor array, an advanced piece of tech, rare and powerful. Its presence here suggests something big is brewing, and it's not something you'd want to be caught up in. Arthur, that's a sensor array. Highly sophisticated and rare. This could be quite valuable to the right buyer. Lon Nick examined the device with a critical eye, his fingers deftly tracing the patterns of the gears. Jack hovered nearby, his face a mask of patience. The negotiation that followed was a tense back and forth, with Lon Nick and Jack debating prices that seemed to shift with every word. The air was thick with the weight of unspoken threats and promises. Jack, look, Lon Nick, we're giving you a steal here. It's not like we can just keep this lying around. Lon Nick, and I'm supposed to risk my reputation for a piece of tech whose origins are dubious at best? You need to understand, Jack, my prices are non-negotiable if I'm to ensure its safety. As the discussion continued, Arthur took a moment to reflect on the gravity of the situation. The sensor array, originally intended for the heat wave and the circle of flame, now in the hands of the crows, hinted at a dangerous shift in ownership. If the circle of flame was behind this, it's likely their plans are reaching a new and deadly phase. I need to get this warning out before it's too late. Arthur thinks to himself. Lon Nick and Jack never agreed on a price, and Harry took the box, leaving the shop with a mix of relief and apprehension. Arthur saw them at the door, his gaze sharp and determined. Arthur, listen, Harry and Jack, I don't care how you got this array. Just know that if it was meant for the circle of flame, they're up to something serious. Watch your backs. If they were planning to use this, it means they're preparing for something big and dangerous. Stay sharp out there. Harry Potter, thanks for the heads up, Arthur. We'll keep an eye out. As they departed, Arthur couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. The weight of his warning felt inadequate against the scale of what was to come. He watched as Harry and Jack disappeared into the night, their figures swallowed by the shadows of Doskvol. Arthur, having seen Harry and Jack off, returned to the shop. He could hear voices coming from the back room. Lannick's voice was edged with frustration. Lannick, what do you mean? Silas, exactly what I just said. I opened all the boxes. Everything is here. But one of the spider bombs is missing. Lannick, did the crows just rob me and bring me the boxes? Silas, I don't think so. Everything is still here, Lannick. It's just that one spider bomb that's missing. Even if it were them, who would open these boxes and steal only one minor item? It doesn't make sense. Lannick paused, lost in thought, his brows furrowing deeply. Then he turned to Arthur, his expression a mixture of concern and curiosity. Lannick, Arthur, how's your investigation going? About that weapon. Any updates? Arthur took a moment, his mind racing through the details he could share. It's progressing, though it's been a challenge. I've been tracing leads on the new chemical weapon the Circle of Flame is developing. It's a prototype delivery device, and it's far more dangerous than their usual arsenal. And then there's this tip I got from Jerome Valeska. Lannick's eyes narrowed, his skepticism evident. Jerome Valeska? I thought he was gone. What's he got to do with this? Arthur. Apparently, he's the one who tipped me off about Elias Wren. I don't understand why Valeska would involve Wren, especially since Wren and I have had our run-ins. Wren's a slippery one, and though he and I have crossed paths, I never imagined he'd be entangled with Valeska. Lannick. Wren's a notorious figure in this city. He and I have done business before. I don't trust him, but he's reliable when it comes to transactions. Still, I'm puzzled why Valeska would direct you towards him. Valeska's machinations are always tangled, but tying him to Wren? That's new. Wren's a man of his own agenda, and Valeska's influence is far-reaching. Arthur. Exactly. Valeska's involvement adds another layer of complexity. I'm trying to piece together how Wren fits into this. If Valeska is using him to further some agenda, it's crucial to understand the connection. Lannick. And the missing spider bomb? Any thoughts on that? Arthur frowned, the weight of the investigation pressing on him. The missing component might just be a distraction or a piece of a larger scheme. Given the Circle of Flame's propensity for deception and misdirection, it's likely part of a broader strategy. Lannick nodded, his expression serious. Keep me updated. The missing spider bomb could be a significant clue, or it might be nothing. If Valeska is involved, we need to stay ahead of whatever he's planning. And if Wren is part of this, it's even more crucial to understand the full picture. Arthur's resolve solidified, knowing the path ahead was fraught with danger and deception. Arthur. I'll continue my investigation and let you know of any new developments. We're tangled in something big, and I'm determined to get to the bottom of it. Lannick turned to Silas, his expression shifting from frustration to focus. Silas, what's the status on your investigation? Any new leads on Adrian Blackwood? Silas sighed, running a hand through his hair, looking weary but determined. Not much has changed. My informant still says the same thing. Adrian Blackwood was last seen in an area dominated by the Circle of Flame. Whether he's been kidnapped or is somehow allied with them remains unclear. It's been frustrating trying to get a solid read on his situation. Lannick's eyes narrowed thoughtfully, the weight of the situation settling on him. We need more information, Silas. If Blackwood's in the hands of the Circle of Flame, we need to know whether he's a prisoner or an ally. His fate could hinge on our next moves. If he's being held against his will, finding a way to recover him is crucial. Silas nodded, a flicker of determination igniting in his eyes. I understand. I'll continue digging into every lead I can find. It's just difficult to penetrate their networks and get reliable intel. The Circle's security is tight, and they're not the type to leave obvious trails. Lannick, keep at it. We need to find out exactly what's going on with Blackwood. If there's any chance he's a victim, we need to act quickly to recover him. In the meantime, try to see if you can track down any allies or informants who might have more insight. It's important we gather as much information as possible. Silas, I'll do what I can. It's just a matter of time before we find something concrete. I appreciate the support. Lannick's gaze was firm, his voice steady with encouragement. Good. Stay persistent. Adrian Blackwood's situation could be a key piece in understanding the Circle of Flames plans. If he's in danger, we need to ensure we can help him before it's too late. As Lannick and Silas continued their discussion about the missing item, Arthur felt the weight of his mission bearing down on him. The threads connecting Valeska, Ren, and the Circle of Flame were becoming more entangled, but the full story remained elusive. Arthur left Lannick's tech emporium with a heavy heart, the conversation with Lannick and Silas leaving him with more questions than answers. The missing spider bomb was a troubling development, hinting at deeper currents within the Circle of Flames operations. With a furrowed brow, Arthur decided his next move needed to be precise. The cryptic nature of his current investigation, coupled with the unsettling revelations about the Circle's activities, drove him toward the Shadows' Denver. The clandestine nature of the establishment promised the kind of obscure information he needed to navigate his next challenge, an infiltration of the Ember Sanctum. Arriving at the Shadows' Den, Arthur stepped into the dimly lit refuge, where the air was thick with the scent of secrecy and the murmur of hidden conversations. The Whisper, the proprietor of this enigmatic haven, was known for his ability to uncover the most elusive information, but his veiled demeanor often left those seeking answers feeling as though they were grasping at shadows. Arthur knew he needed to navigate this conversation with care if he hoped to extract useful intelligence. Arthur approached the bar, where the Whisper stood shrouded in an aura of enigmatic detachment. The man's face was partially obscured by shadows, his eyes glinting with an unsettling depth of knowledge. "Whisper," Arthur began, his voice steady despite the swirling uncertainty in his mind. "I need to know what the Circle of Flame is planning. I've come across leads about a new weapon they're developing and its possible connection to Heatwave. Can you help me get more details?" The Whisper's eyes flickered with a hint of curiosity, but his expression remained inscrutable. "Information comes at a price, Arthur," he replied, his voice soft yet laden with a sense of foreboding. "Secrets are not handed out lightly in these parts. Why should I believe you're deserving of what you seek?" Arthur's eyes narrowed, sensing the challenge in the Whisper's tone. "I'm dealing with a potential disaster. The Circle's plans could be catastrophic for Doskvol. I need to understand their strategy to act before it's too late." The Whisper leaned in, his gaze piercing through the dim light. "Heatwave and the Circle of Flame are known for their dangerous schemes. Why do you think their plans are worth your time? What makes you believe you'll uncover something valuable?" Arthur felt his frustration rise but kept his composure. "I've seen enough to know their actions could lead to chaos. I need specifics, anything about their operations or future plans." Filled with frustration and impatience, Arthur reached inside his coat and handed a bag of coins across to the Whisper. The Whisper studied Arthur intently, as if weighing the truth of his words. After a moment, he nodded slightly. "Very well. I'll see what whispers I can gather. But remember, Arthur, curiosity often leads to dark paths." Arthur watched as the Whisper retreated to a shadowed alcove, his sense of unease growing. The man's cryptic demeanor and the shroud of secrecy surrounding him only heightened the tension. He turned to Ezra Nightshade, the stoic bartender, hoping for additional insights. "Ezra," Arthur said, catching the bartender's steely gaze, "I've heard rumors of an Ember shipment, tied to the Circle, coming in that last train that got robbed outside town. Do you know anything about it?" Ezra's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "We hear many things in this den. An Ember shipment, you say? There's been talk of increased activity from the Circle lately. They're bringing in something significant, though details are thin. It might be worth investigating further." Arthur nodded, processing the information. "Do you have any idea where they're storing these items or who might be handling them?" Ezra shrugged, a rare flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. "Rumors suggest it's related to their more secretive operations. Maybe something hidden in their sanctum." The specifics are always kept tightly under wraps. Arthur's attention was drawn to a nearby table where a disheveled informant was engaged in a hushed conversation. Arthur edged closer, straining to catch the details. "Did you hear about the Circle's latest activities?" the informant was saying. "They've been stockpiling new artifacts, and there's talk of a major job involving Heatwave." Arthur leaned in, his curiosity piqued. "What kind of artifacts?" The informant glanced around nervously before responding. "They're keeping them in a place called the Vale of Shadows." Sounds like a heavily guarded location. Arthur's pulse quickened at the mention of the Vale of Shadows. "Do you know how they're defending it or what kind of traps might be set?" The informant shook his head. "No details on that, but with the Circle involved, you can bet it's well protected." Just then, the whisper returned, his demeanor as enigmatic as ever. He slid a slip of paper across the bar. "I've gathered some whispers for you," he said. "But be cautious. The Circle's plans run deeper and darker than you might expect." Arthur took the paper, feeling a mix of relief and unease. "Thank you, Whisper. I'll be careful." The Whisper's gaze lingered on Arthur with an unsettling intensity. "Be wary, Arthur. Some shadows are better left undisturbed." Arthur stepped out of the shadow's den, the weight of the night pressing heavily on his shoulders. The conversations with the Whisper and Ezra Nightshade had left him both intrigued and unsettled. The cryptic clues about the Circle of Flame's new weapon and the unsettling mention of the Vale of Shadows had stirred a deep unease within him. As he walked through the dimly lit streets, his mind churned with the daunting task ahead. The Ember Sanctum, a fortress of dark rituals and hidden horrors, loomed large in his thoughts. The idea of infiltrating such a place filled him with a mix of dread and resolve. He knew that every step he took needed to be calculated, every decision measured against the immense risks. The fate of Doskvol might well hinge on the success of this mission, and the burden of that knowledge was both a driving force and a heavy weight on his heart. The connection between Elias Wren and the Circle of Flame gnawed at him like an itch he couldn't scratch. Arthur replayed the cryptic messages and fragments of information, trying to piece together the puzzle. Why had Jerome Valeska, a figure synonymous with chaos and destruction, directed him towards Wren? What dark symphony was playing out behind the scenes, and what role was Wren destined to play in it? The thought that Valeska might be orchestrating a grand scheme from the shadows filled Arthur with a creeping sense of paranoia. He could almost feel the invisible threads of a larger conspiracy pulling at the edges of his investigation. Every clue seemed to lead to another question, and the tangled web of deceit was growing ever more intricate. Sitting alone in his sparse quarters, Arthur's thoughts were a tempest of anxiety and determination. The shadows outside his window seemed to close in on him, reflecting the uncertainty and peril of his mission. He knew he had to focus on two crucial fronts: infiltrating the Ember Sanctum to uncover the true nature of the weapon and untangling the web connecting Elias Wren and Jerome Valeska. His resolve was steely, yet the gravity of his task weighed heavily on him. The fear of failure and the dread of what he might uncover were palpable, but so was the fierce drive to protect Doskvol from the encroaching darkness. With a sigh that felt like it came from deep within his soul, Arthur steeled himself for the arduous path ahead. He would need every ounce of his cunning and bravery to navigate the perilous waters of conspiracy and uncover the truth that lay hidden in the shadows.